Well, good evening, YouTube. This is Chuck, and I'm back over here at the park. It's still Friday, the 21st of July, and I was over here a little bit earlier for a shot a video with the old truck, and went home and got that uploaded and had dinner and stuff, and thought the light was good. I thought I'd come over here and talk about another one I've had bouncing around in my head here for a few days, and it's a Bigfoot video. I haven't talked about a Bigfoot video for a little while, so it's probably about time. There's a spot up on top of the Mogollon Rim in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest that has the nickname of Broken Mirror. And now most everybody in our part of Arizona that is a Squatcher knows about Broken Mirror, knows the story about it, knows where it's at. And we had some pretty interesting stuff happen there, and I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the history of it, and then tell you what I've experienced there. So I'm gonna hang on for a little bit, get some popcorn, something to drink, and let me tell you the story. The way it got its name is that there was a couple up there who pulled in, and they had a conversion van, and they had a bed in the back, and I guess the husband decided he was going to go back there and lay down and take a nap, and the wife was sitting up in the front seat reading a book, and all of a sudden a pretty sizable chunk of a log come flying through the air, hit the side of the van hard enough it broke the mirror off the side of it. Scared the living tar out of them. They got in the truck and left, and the piece of wood was supposedly big enough that they didn't think a person could have thrown it. They had no idea what happened, but the story went around, and the place got nicknamed Broken Mirror. And we actually, when we were up there, we actually found pieces of the mirror glass from where apparently that happened. So apparently that story is true. But when back in 2012, when the Finding Bigfoot show came to town, and one of their segments that they did is they talked to a father and son who had a sighting of two different individual Sasquatches at a spot. And the father saw one, and then the son saw one, and when they compared notes, they realized they weren't looking at the same one because the color was different, so they actually saw two different ones. And they talked about it in that segment. Well, that actually happened at Broken Mirror. And if you want to go look at that segment, it's Go on Animal Planet and Finding Bigfoot. And it's either Season 3, Episode 4 or Season 4, Episode 3. I don't remember right now. But the title of it is Dances with Bigfoot. And they'll tell you that story. Well, that happened at Broken Mirror. So the first time that I went there, I was with another old Squatcher, and his name was Roland. And that was quite a few years ago when I was just kind of getting started here. And so to describe Broken Mirror, it's a little clearing that's surrounded by a very, very heavy thicket of blue spruce and some ponderosa pine scattered in there as well. But it's like maybe, I don't know, it's not even a half an acre. It's just a fairly small clearing, but it's a pretty little spot. And but it's totally surrounded, so it's like your own little oasis in there. And there's two ways to get a vehicle in there, and two little driveways, and they're about 30 feet apart. So when we went in there, I drove my van in the one, and Roland had a van as well, and he backed his van in the other one, so our side doors would face each other. And we were going to stay there for 2 or 3 nights. Well, the next morning when we got up, two things happened. First thing was I was laying there awake about 4 o'clock, and all of a sudden my van got shook. And it wasn't side to side, and it wasn't rocked back and forth. It was like it got hit from the rear, and a pretty solid clunk. It actually, it was in park, and so, it actually rocked it back and forth, front to rear, or rear to front, actually. And, I knew what it had to bend, so, I just kind of laid there and smiled, and I didn't know then what I know now. I was still looking for undiscovered apes at that time, and so was Roland. And but when we got up, somewhere during the night, right in between our two vehicles, and there was nothing in between our two vehicles, wide open. But between our two vehicles, somebody drug in there about a 7-foot long tree branch. and it was laying there. It was laying there horizontal along in line with our two vehicles. And so I get up early, Roland not so much. And so when he got up, I asked him, "Did you drag that in there?" "No, I didn't do that." So we get looking at it, and it was broke, but it had been broke a while. It had mud spattered on it from where the rain had splattered mud on it, and it all dried. So it wasn't a freshly broken off piece. It didn't come from above our heads. There was nothing above it. But apparently our forest friends had brought it in there during the night and laid it down, and that was their way of saying, "Hey, we're here." And so got kind of a kick out of that. Another thing that happened on that same trip with Roland that was extremely strange is that one morning when we got up and drinking coffee, and all of a sudden there were squirrels everywhere. Tree squirrels, ground squirrels, and chipmunks. And there was like, I don't know, 6 or 8, maybe more of each. And the different species, they were totally ignoring each other, but they were all playing together with their own species. And they were everywhere. I'd never seen it before. Never seen anything like that. They were running right past us. And, we were just amazed by that. Who knows that they would have a family reunion or whatever, but an interspecies reunion. But they were everywhere, and there was a bunch of them. And that went on for most of the day. And that was just a real bizarre thing to witness. Well, now fast forward a bit, and a couple summers ago, Kevin and I went up there, and now Broken Mirror is not, as the crow flies, it's not very far from Hilltop, which is our main area up there, and there's 2 or 3 other little areas in there too, where we've had activity. But you can't drive directly from one to the other. You got to kind of go around the bend a bit, and but they're not very far apart as the crow flies. Well, Kevin and I just we got set up in there, and almost immediately I started getting kind of the "hi, we're here" thing, and we responded to it, and Kevin started getting my speak as well, and we were talking to a female whose name was Charity. And so she was probably, I don't know how old she was, but I would guess maybe, I don't know, 20s or something like that. But she was fairly chatty, and I thought that was quite interesting. Well, a little bit later, we got talking to another one, and her name was Kaite, and she was in her 20s, and female, and she was talking to us as well. I think they were sisters. I'm not sure whether they told us that, but I think they were sisters. Well, I was having a little bit of tummy problem at the time, and I had to kind of stay close to the potty, if you know what I mean. And so Kevin decided he wanted to go for a walk. So he wanted to know if I wanted to go, and I said, "Nah, I think I better stay around camp." And so he took off for a walk, and he wasn't gone for 2 minutes, and he come running back and said, "I just had a sighting." Well, that was cool. So I got up and went over there, and just out of camp, or far enough away that I couldn't have seen it, he had seen one at about probably 50 to 75 yards. And so we went over there to exactly where he saw it at, and then he went back to where he was standing, and we did a recreation. And he told me that he'd seen it go right to left, and that it was roughly the same height as I am, and I'm 6 foot tall. But he said the bulk-wise, it was about twice my bulk. I'm kind of skinny. And so we did the recreation, and that was pretty cool. And, in broad daylight, 2:30 in the afternoon. So he decides he's going to try to follow the direction it went and see if he can get another glimpse of it. And so I went back to camp, and I'm sitting in my chair, and pretty soon Kaite is talking to me again. And she says, "Oh, yeah, that was Delrick." I said, "Well, who's Delrick?" Well, it turns out Delrick is a 16-year-old male. So within a period of about maybe 2 hours, we got 3 names there at Broken Mirror. And they were quite chatty. And one of the interesting things about Broken Mirror is with the little thickets around there, there's little clearings inside those thickets, and we call them rooms. And the people that camp there, our Sasquatch folks, they like to come right in close and just watch them. And there's a number of other stories. There's another number of other stories as well that from Broken Mirror. And there's another little place down the road that's called Campo Bonito. And we've had activity there. And then, of course, we've had a lot of activity over at Hilltop. And they're all not too far from each other. There's no roads directly from one to the other. But it's probably the same ones. That night, after we saw that Kevin saw Delrick and we were talking to the two females, that night we had quite a few of them come visit. And we asked them if they were the ones that lived there or if they were the ones that were coming over from Hilltop. And they told us that the group from Hilltop came over as well, and we know a bunch of them by name. So we had quite a bit of activity on that trip. We prefer Hilltop. It's just a little different, but we've had some people get scared over there at Broken Mirror. We have one Squatcher lady that I'm familiar with that she's a little jumpy anyway, and they like to scare the daylights out of her, and she's tried to camp there a couple times. Another gal named Liz that likes to camp there, and she's had quite a bit of activity happen. And she at one point thinks there was some kind of a portal there that she got involved with somehow. But that's another story. I don't know enough. I wasn't there for that one, but I can tell you what we've witnessed there. I've had some quite the episodes there, and like I say, I haven't done a Bigfoot one for a little while, and we're dying to get back up on the mountain. Kevin and I were going to go up this week actually, and he hurt his knee, so we changed our minds at the last minute. I'm getting health-wise, I'm getting to the point where I think I can go again. So I got the van all ready. All I got to do is put gas in it, and first chance we get to get up the mountain, we're going to go. So I think that's good enough for this one right now. So as always, I tell you to take care of each other, love each other. It was pretty hot earlier today, but the clouds came through here, and the outflow boundary from a nearby storm come through. We didn't get any rain, but they did to the west of us. And it's cooled us down about 20 degrees, and it's pretty pleasant here right now. So I think I'm going to spin this around so I can find the button, and I'll be back with you in another one here pretty quick. So right now, I'll just tell you to enjoy life. God gave us a wonderful place to live, and for now, I'll just say peace out.